Greetings, Nick with Sweetwater here, and in today's lesson we're going to be learning the intro riff to the Led Zeppelin track Heartbreaker, this pulsing aortic beauty of a riff right here. Yes, my friend, as per your requests in the comments to our 5 Zeppelin riffs not on Rick Beato's list, we're going to learn a Zeppelin riff or 3 over the next few videos. Black Dog was the first, and there's a link to that lesson in the text below. Anyways, next up is the instantly recognizable intro riff to Heartbreaker. This track is on the British band's second album, the aptly named Led Zeppelin II. This one right here. This classic sophomore release was written and recorded while the band continued to extensively tour in both Europe and America during 1969. And, like all Zeppelin's offerings, this one is another epic opus of rock riffing goodness. As already mentioned, we're going to learn the main intro riff, this one right here. The song starts with us playing the G note at the 3rd fret of the low E string, and we give said note a very slight bend, a blues bend, just like this. One more time. As you could hopefully see and hear, it's a very small bend indeed that is often referred to as a blues bend, like I just said. In fact, it's often notated in tab as a quarter step bend. Call it what you will, it definitely gives the note eyebrows. It gives it attitude. Anyway, after this note is played, we get into the main intro riff itself. This one right here. And again, one more time a little slower. Pretty cool riff, right? Let's learn the sucker, shall we? We're going to do so by breaking it down into 2 parts, 2 halves if you will. First up is what I'm going to call, wait for it, Part 1. Brilliant naming, huh? Part 1 consists of these 6 notes. Now, as it just so happens, this 6-sounding 6-note chunk uses the 6 notes that make up our good old friend, the A minor blues scale. This one right here. Pretty handy, huh? And if you don't happen to know this scale yet, don't worry, it's very easy to learn, and there's a link to a lesson in the video description below. So, go away, learn it, and then come right back. I'll wait for you here, I promise. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Hold on, you just showed us the A minor blues scale in the 5th position, but you're playing part 1 of the Heartbreaker riff in the open position. What's going on? The riff is here. Not down here. Yep, guilty as charged, but don't fret, my friend. All we've got to do is find out how to play the 6 A minor blues scale notes we need in the open position. And it's not complicated at all. It can't be. After all, I can do it. All I'm doing to play Heartbreaker, like I said, is playing the notes of the A minor blues scale in the open position. Let me show you exactly what I mean, and all will become clear, I promise. Here are the first 6 notes of the A minor blues scale played in the 5th position. And in case you're interested, said notes are A, C, D, E flat, E, and G. Now, the first note is A, this one here. And it just so happens that the A note to the 5th fret on the low E string is the exact same note as the open A string note, this one here. Hear what I mean? They're the same darn note. Perfect. Now, the next note of the blues scale is a C, which is played at the 8th fret on the low E, which is 3 frets higher than the A, so logic dictates I can find a C at the 3rd fret on the open A string, here. So those are our first 2 notes, A and C. The next note is a D. And guess what? That D at the 5th fret on the A string is the same darn note as the open D string note. Nice. The next note in the scale, E flat, is 1 fret higher than D, so we can play it logically at the 1st fret of the D string. Same note. And the same logic applies to the next note, which is E, which is 1 fret higher than E flat. So we just go to the 2nd fret on the D string. So, is now this. So that's the first 5 notes in the open position. As for the last of the 6, when I'm playing it in the 5th position, it's the G note at the 5th fret on the D string. And that's the same note as the open G string. Magic. So our first 6 notes of the scale are this in the open position. Pretty simple, right? Anyway, armed with this knowledge, let's learn part 1 of the Heartbreaker riff, shall we? This part right here. And, as you may have already ascertained, the first 5 notes of part 1 of this riff are quite literally the first 5 notes of the open A minor blues scale pattern we've just learnt, played in ascending order, namely A, C, D, E flat, E, just like this. And again, a little slower. So we're merely going open A string note, to the C note at the 3rd fret, with a bit of a blues bend, then the open D string note followed by the E flat and E notes at the 1st and 2nd frets of the same string, respectively, just like this. So we have this. And please notice, as already stated, I'm adding eyebrows to that 2nd note, the C at the 3rd fret on the A string via a 1/4 step blues bend, just like this. So, that's 5 notes down, 1 to go. And it just so happens that the final note is the next one in the A minor blues scale too, namely G. But we're not going to play the open G string note here. Instead, we're going to go an octave lower and play a G at the 3rd fret on the low E string. And just like on the C, we're going to give it some attitude by applying a 1/4 step blues bend. So part 1 is this. Wow. To quote Nigel Tufnell, simple, none more simple. Well, that's a misquote, but you get my point. Next up is part 2 of the main riff, the 2nd half, which sounds like this. And once again, as you've probably already gathered, because you're smart, smarter than me, which is not a compliment by the way, because I'm pretty dumb, part 2 is merely part 1, but with the first note, the open A string note, played 4 times into quick succession. I'm doing this via a nifty piece of alternate picking, namely down, up on the open A string with my pick. So down, up, down, up. So one more time, the riff is this. So instead of playing this, I'm just doing this. Like I said, I'm just hitting that open A string note 4 times at the start of the 2nd part, as opposed to just once as in part 1. So part 1 is this. And part 2 is this. I repeat, none more easy. So, if we now add part 1 and part 2 together, we have our main Heartbreaker riff. So to finish it off, put the cherry on the cake if you will, we've just got to add our starting G note and then play the main riff. And that gives us this. Not shabby. Just so you know, that opening G note, which also happens to be the last note of the main riff, is sometimes referred to as a pickup note. Now, you know how some people will often start a sentence with an just before they speak? Well, the G is the musical equivalent of an with eyebrows and attitude added, of course. And there you have it, my friend. Some musical magic Jimmy Page created by merely using 6 notes of the A minor blues scale. In fact, as you've just learned, he actually played the 6 notes in their exact ascending order, but with the last note of the 6th, the G, an octave lower. A simple but incredibly effective ploy. Plus, of course, some very clever phrasing, and a blues bend or two for extra eyebrows and attitude. Yep, I've said it before, and I will say it again many times, I'm sure. Mr. Page is, was, and always will be one of rock's finest riffologists. Have fun with this one, and try and work some of those quarter-step blues bend ideas into some of your own minor blues scale riffs and licks. The resulting eyebrows are magical, I tell you. That said, I'm out. See ya! Thank you so very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to like, comment nicely please, and also subscribe. Click here for more videos like this, or start at sweetwater.com for all of your music instrument and pro audio needs. Have a great one. Cheerio.